You wouldn't be able to tell today, but the sister park to Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, is built on the bones of an old theme park, Disney's California Adventure. The name difference is subtle. Disney dropped the possessive in 2010. Although Disney California Adventure, or DCA for short, just celebrated its 17th birthday earlier this year, you'll be hard-pressed to find anything from its opening day left in its original form. After visiting DCA for the first time last year and experiencing how fun and immersive the park was, I became fascinated by learning about what the park was like in its former life. Without a doubt, Disney's California Adventure collectively was the strangest and weirdest thing Disney has ever seen to fruition. In this video, I wanted to talk about the history of the original Disney's California Adventure and share some of the wackiest and weirdest things about it, which basically was the entire park. Disneyland had been a standalone park in California for decades, but in the 1990s, Disney executives were looking to transform the park into a multi-park resort. And so they had initially proposed Westcott, which, yes, was a version of Epcot but on the West Coast. That project, though, was scrapped in '95 due in part to financial problems after the recent opening and lack of success of Disneyland Paris and difficulties with the city of Anaheim. Under CEO Michael Eisner, Disney executives then came up with a new idea for a second park, this one themed to California, the home of Disneyland. Through and through, Disney's California Adventure was an homage to, well, California, but not exactly an elegant homage, more like a tacky postcard neon light beach bum homage, with puns, lots of puns. Construction for the new park began in 1998 and was accompanied by the additions of Downtown Disney and the Grand Californian Hotel. By having a second gate, additional hotel, and shopping center, the goal was to turn the Disneyland Resort into a true extended-stay tourist destination, drawing in more than just the local crowd. However, Disney's California Adventure was clearly a severely underfunded project and wouldn't turn out to be the draw Disney hoped. The DCA Wikipedia page has a fun pull quote from a Los Angeles Times article published in January 2001 before the parks opened titled, "The Most Jam-Packed Theme Park on Earth?" Reading, "Senior Disney officials acknowledge that there will be days when California Adventure will have to turn patrons away, particularly in the first few weeks after the park opens, during spring break, and again in the summer." After soft openings to rather poor reviews in January 2001, Disney's California Adventure officially opened on February 8, 2001. But the anticipated mega crowds never came. During 2001, only 5 million people visited DCA, while 12.3 million people visited Disneyland during the same time frame. In fact, it wasn't even until 2009 that DCA finally cracked the 6 million annual visitors mark. Disney's California Adventure seemed to lack in attendance numbers for so long because it was an uncharacteristically un-Disney-like park. When it opened, the park had nearly as many restaurants as it did shows and attractions. It was larger-than-life and gaudy, and more of a California spoof than anything else. It was noticeably lacking in Disney characters and had minimal attractions suited for children. And whereas other Disney parks and lands transported guests to other times and places, DCA was a snapshot of modern California, but stuck in the late 90s aesthetic from its conception. Disneyland, it was not. In all, Disney's California Adventure originally had 4 themed lands: Sunshine Plaza, Hollywood Pictures Backlot, Golden State, and Paradise Pier. Golden State was further broken down into 6 sub-areas: Condor Flats, Grizzly Peak Recreational Area, Bountiful Valley Farm, Golden Vine Winery, the Bay Area, and the Pacific Wharf. Before guests even entered the park, they were greeted by massive letters spelling out California in the Esplanade, just in case you didn't know you were in California about to head into a park themed to California. Behind these letters at the park entrance was the world's largest ceramic mural, designed to look like a gigantic postcard of iconic California scenery. Peeking behind the mural was a scaled version of the Golden Gate Bridge through which the monorail ran. Perhaps this design would have played out better if guests had realized they were passing through a giant-sized postcard, but the message largely seemed to be lost. All Disney parks have always had a key park icon, whether it be a castle, geodesic sphere, or a tree, but Disney's California Adventure had a sun-type thing and a bear-shaped mountain. The sun icon, which looked a little bit more like a hubcap, was a centerpiece of Sunshine Plaza and was supposed to continue the California postcard feel. But there was one problem. It faced north, so it couldn't actually reflect the sun. The solution was to put in giant reflectors to reflect the light of the actual sun back to the fake sun. Grizzly Peak, though, instead of the sun, was used as a branding icon on park logos and merchandise. We'll get back to Grizzly Peak when we talk about the Golden State section of the park. Accompanying the sun icon in Sunshine Plaza was a store, Greetings from California, which had everything under the sun. Who needs the Emporium when you have a loud, kitschy California gift shop? With an aesthetic match more towards the kookiness of Blizzard Beach, Greetings from California closed in 2011 when the front of the park was overhauled into Buena Vista Street. In addition to the central gift shop, there was a California Zephyr train that served as a building facade for Burbank Ice Cream, Bakersfield Bakery, and Engineers Toys. These store names are just the beginning of many, many puns to come. It almost seems like the original DCA was just designed to be a vehicle for California-themed puns. While the Zephyr provided perhaps a more immersive themed experience than other parts of the park, this entire area was also closed in 2011 for the Buena Vista Street overhaul. Let's head out of Sunshine Plaza and into the Hollywood Pictures Backlot part of the park, a land which to this day still feels a little bit lost in its theming. Here, the Hollywood Pictures Backlot was perhaps a strange and lacking concept because it was right down the road from actual real working backlots in Hollywood. However, this land did have the honor of being home to arguably the worst attraction Disney has ever created. When people talk about the strangeness of original DCA attractions, Superstar Limo is always top of the list. An attraction so bad that guest satisfaction was actually higher when the ride was closed. This attraction was DCA's only opening day dark ride, and it was also its first attraction to permanently close, just shy of a year of operation. Superstar Limo treated riders as if they were a new celebrity en route to their first movie premiere, driving through a cartoonish, garish, neon version of Hollywood. The ride was filled with character-like animatronics of Hollywood celebrities, most of whom were on ABC shows at the time. The ride very obviously lacked in proper budget and execution. It was initially planned as a wild paparazzi chase, but that concept had to be abandoned after Princess Diana's death. Disney officials still carried through with their idea of a Hollywood dark ride, although it likely would have been better if they had scrapped the idea entirely. However, if you'd like to ride Superstar Limo, you still kind of can today. Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue replaced the ride in 2006 and uses the original track layout and vehicles of Superstar Limo. Ever wondered why the cabs have 3 rows of seats? Well, they're really limos. If you're hungry after your big limo ride, head on over to ABC Soap Opera Bistro. Dine-in settings recreated from your favorite soap operas like General Hospital, One Life to Live, and All My Children. A shout out to my dad, who has probably seen every episode of All My Children at least 5 times and would have loved to eat here. Your servers are even dressed up as soap characters to get you in the daytime spirit. As DCA suffered from an overabundance of restaurants and a lack of crowds, Soap Opera Bistro was among the early food casualties and closed in November 2002. If you're waiting for more puns, Hollywood Pictures Backlot also had its fair share of them. Stop by the Ben-Hur Salon, a play on the Hollywood epic Ben-Hur. Or if you're in the mood for a workout, come by Dial M for Muscle, a riff on the crime thriller Dial M for Murder. But that's not all. Head to La Brea Carpets for the finest rugs and a play on the LA archaeological site La Brea Tar Pits. Leaving the Hollywood Pictures Backlot, you head into the Golden State area of the park, which was composed of 6 California locale-themed sub-areas. Condor Flats, in terms of attractions, was the brightest area of the park because it housed the opening day attraction that was so successful that it was replicated at Epcot, Soarin' over California. Still a powerhouse attraction to this day, Soarin' and its surrounding area have only experienced minor changes compared to other areas. Condor Flats was originally themed as a desert airfield like the Mojave Desert, but in 2015 and 16, the area was incorporated into the Grizzly Peak area and rethemed as Grizzly Peak Airfield. Soarin' as well got a new movie, dropping the tour of California in favor for one around the world. Grizzly Peak, housed in the original Grizzly Peak recreational area, once formed the park's branding logo and stood as the centerpiece of the Grizzly River Run attraction. Although the area was scenically beautiful, it was a bit oddly themed. The story was that an extreme sports tourism company had taken over a California national park. Instead of celebrating the natural beauty of California's lands, DCA went for that gnarly sports route. as part of the major park rethemings during 2007 to 2012, the area dropped its extreme sports themes and was recast as an idyllic California national park in the 1950s. While you may be thinking that these first two sublands don't seem too bad, just wait for the rest of Golden State. Welcome to Bountiful Valley Farm, which was a tribute to the abundance and diversity of agriculture in California. Think living with the land, but minus the actual attraction component. Caterpillar was a sponsor for this area, and there were a myriad of Caterpillar tractors and farm equipment for guests to interact with. Bountiful Valley Farm did open with the It's Tough to Be a Bug 4D movie, an attraction that permanently scarred me during soft openings of Disney's Animal Kingdom, but in 2002, Bugs Land opened at DCA to fulfill the dire need for children's geared attractions, and Bountiful Valley Farm was incorporated as part of this district. Bountiful Valley Farms closed permanently in 2010 to make room for the new Cars Land. Bountiful Valley Farms did have my favorite punny eatery of the original park though, Sam Andreas Shakes. Delicious to a fault. Check out my video about earthquakes in Disneyland if you'd like to learn about the real San Andreas Fault. Continuing the agricultural theme, the Golden Vine Winery area of the park housed Seasons of the Vine, which was a 7-minute-long video about winemaking. This represented DCA's desire to cater to a more mature audience. DCA still celebrates the wine country of California today, but Seasons of the Vine closed in 2008. The attraction didn't totally go away though. The film has been shown at Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival since 2009. In the Bay Area, the one and only attraction was Golden Dreams, a cinematic California adventure starring Whoopi Goldberg. This movie celebrated the history of California with a similar goal to that of the American Adventure at Epcot. The rotunda for the attraction was modeled after the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, providing a classic refined setting. This attraction at least did appear successful in the goal of celebrating California and not just spoofing it. Golden Dreams, though, closed permanently in 2008 and reopened as The Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure in 2011. And then the last sub-area of the Golden State District was the Pacific Wharf. There's not too much to say about this area because it didn't really contain any attractions, unless you count a tortilla factory tour and a bread-making tour. The Pacific Wharf primarily contained eateries, which were abound at DCA, and its theming has largely stayed intact until today. But finally, we move on to the Paradise Pier area of the park, which was home to a lot of the weirdness of original DCA. Walt's vision for Disneyland was to be an alternative to the boardwalk amusement parks of the day, and so it was exceptionally odd and unfitting that Paradise Pier was made to be a replica of those seaside amusement parks, complete with unthemed rides and off-the-shelf attractions. The Maliboomer, as in Malibu, get it, was a straight-up, off-the-shelf, unthemed Power Tower attraction. Compare Tower of Terror at the then MGM Studios to this tower. The budget shortcomings for DCA were very, very obvious. And also odd was that just down the road, Knott's Berry Farm already had a Power Tower attraction, and one that was significantly taller than this one at DCA. The Maliboomer did survive from opening day until 2010, but instead of revamping or retheming the ride, there was simply no saving it and it was demolished. DCA also had another strange attraction sightline in the Paradise Pier area with the Orange Stinger Swings. What better way to hide an off-the-shelf swing attraction than by putting a gigantic orange peel around it? The seats were originally made to look like little bees, which would buzz around the attraction as an artificial orange scent was pumped in. These bee seats appear to have lasted less than a month before they had to be replaced by plain conventional seats. Thankfully, the orange was peeled away in 2010 to reopen as Mickey's Silly Symphony Swings. Now, if you like generic amusement park rides with strange names and minimal theming, then Mulholland Madness is for you. The attraction was a basic, straight-from-the-box Wild Mouse coaster, but it was themed to the crazy California traffic and a tribute to Mulholland Drive, which follows the ridgeline of the Hollywood Hills and Santa Monica Mountains. Let's say this ride was no match for Disney's other mountains. Like many other DCA attractions, this ride was rethemed and reopened in 2011 as Goofy Sky School. Two other Paradise Pier opening day attractions only experienced minor cosmetic adjustments. The Sun Wheel, aka the Ferris Wheel of Terror, featured a gigantic 70s-style sun face, similar to the aesthetic of the sun icon in the Plaza. The Sun Wheel also got the Disney touch and was rethemed as Mickey's Fun Wheel in 2009. California Screamin', DCA's big opening day thrill attraction was designed to look like a classic Pier wooden coaster, but was in fact a steel coaster. It originally featured a Mickey head behind its signature loop, which is the only iconography of the original DCA I actually remember. But around the time the Sun Wheel was converted to Mickey's Fun Wheel, the Mickey head icon was removed and replaced by a Paradise Pier logo. Since Paradise Pier evoked the tacky seaside parks, there of course were kooky eateries and stores to match. Malibu Ritos, fun pun, seemed to be the shortest-lived eatery in the entire park. It closed sometime during the park's opening year and was seemingly left unopened until 2006 when construction began in the area for Toy Story Midway Mania. After shooting some hoops at Reboundo Beach, more puns, head on over to Pizza on Mau Mau for all your surfer-themed eatery needs. This part of the park transitioned into a Route 66-esque area of Paradise Pier. Rather than evoking the timeless Route 66 feel that Cars Land now does, these Route 66-themed locales evoked a beachy and tacky roadside attraction feel. Pizza on Mau Mau permanently closed in 2010 to make way for Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a burger, and it's hosted by McDonald's. Burger Invasion was a quick-service McDonald's location with a gigantic burger as the restaurant's facade. When McDonald's ended their partnership with Disney, Burger Invasion closed in 2008 and would be renovated to reopen as Paradise Garden Grill in 2011. Now, what is a better match for a giant burger than a giant pink dinosaur? Dinosaur Jack's Sunglass Shack was another cartoonish marker along the disjointed Route 66 section. As one could guess, it was a dedicated sunglass shop evoking California's roadside vernacular architecture. This dino, though, went extinct in 2009 when it was demolished. To complement the attractions, or lack thereof, that opened with DCA, there was also Eureka, the California Adventure Parade. Parades are a classic cornerstone of Disney entertainment, but this parade again was un-Disney-like. Devoid of Disney characters, the Eureka Parade celebrated the diverse ethnicity and cultures of California, which in and of itself sounds like a relatively good parade idea. This parade, though, included some notable components such as a walking Golden Gate Bridge and Chinese carry-out meal. Given the lack of cohesion of the parade and low guest attendance, Eureka only played during the first 2 seasons of the park. Clearly, Disney's California Adventure as it was did not work to draw in crowds. The park didn't just require a refurb, it needed a fundamental overhaul of its entire narrative. Going through these old attractions and restaurants and stores, you can see the pattern of nearly all of them closing between 2008 and 2011. In 2007, the Walt Disney Company announced a $1.1 billion expansion for Disney's California Adventure, changing the park from a California spoof to an idyllic, historic look through the state. Compare this refurbishment budget to the original $600 million it cost to build the park. Midway through its changes in 2010, Disney changed the name and branding of the park, dropping the possessive from Disney like I mentioned in the beginning. In 2010, they also introduced their spectacular nighttime show, World of Color, playing out over Paradise Bay. Changing from the 4 original disjointed lands, DCA's lands now included Buena Vista Street, Hollywood Land, Grizzly Peak, A Bug's Land, Cars Land, Pacific Wharf, and Paradise Pier. In June 2012, the park reopened with the dedication of the new Buena Vista Street. Buena Vista Street, which depicts an idyllic Los Angeles in the 1920s as Walt would have known it, was now a fitting counterpart to Main Street, USA. A replica of Carthay Circle, the theater that held the premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, took the place of the former Sun icon. Among the most notable components of the DCA overhaul was the addition of Cars Land, arguably one of the most immersive and transportive lands Disney has ever created. Guests get to walk right through Radiator Springs as if it were brought to life directly from the movie, and the e-ticket attraction Radiator Springs Racers take center stage. Oddly though, Cars Land has already seen some changes. In 2012, the land originally opened with Luigi's Flying Tires, an ill-conceived flying saucer-like attraction. But that attraction permanently closed in 2015 and reopened as Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters in 2016. But DCA still isn't even done changing. 2017 saw the closure and reopening of Tower of Terror as Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, likely only the first part of a large future Marvel expansion. Also to note, Tower of Terror wasn't even an opening day attraction at DCA. It didn't debut at the park until 2004. And this spring, the park is retheming the Paradise Pier area to Pixar Pier, putting more Disney and Pixar IPs where there once were none, and scrubbing free the original misguided theming. California Screaming will be refreshed to become the Incredicoaster, and a family-friendly inside-out attraction will take the place where the Maliboomer once stood. Even though DCA is the youngest of all the US Disney parks, DCA truly is almost unrecognizable compared to what it was like during its early years. But like any good Disney park, it will likely remain ever-changing. If any of you did get to experience version 1.0 of DCA, I'd be fascinated to know what it was really like. Was it as zany and wacky as the photos make it appear? What was all the monstrous construction like when they were doing the expansions? I think it'd be fun to take a time machine and visit the original Disney's California Adventure for one day, but I'm pretty happy to experience DCA as we now know it. Thanks for watching!